Being a disciple, being a follower of Jesus is the key to experiencing the abundant life that he promises in John 10, verse 10. Following Jesus will bring about certain benefits and opportunities, but it will also bring a particular set of struggles and obstacles. In this episode, we look at both the good and the bad of following Jesus. I'm thankful that you took time today to pull up a seat. I hope these few minutes together help you follow Jesus better by deepening your relationship with him and helping you live intentionally for him every day. In this series, we'll use the terms following Jesus and being his disciple interchangeably. And we'll define those as a follower of Jesus and a disciple is someone who lives with Jesus, lives like Jesus, and lives for Jesus. We will go into some depth down the road on what each of those mean and look like, and we'll also look at some practical ways to make them part of your everyday life. But the opportunities or the benefits that we have from being a disciple of Jesus, from living with him, from living like him, and living with him, living for him, they include, first, we have a connection with something, we have a connection with actually something bigger, someone greater than us. There is a longing inside of all of us for the transcendent, for something grand, for something great. When we follow Jesus, we are connected to someone bigger than us. John 15, verse 5 says it like this: I'm the vine and you are the branches. Whoever abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. So what that's saying is that you and I, we can live in a relationship with Jesus. We can live connected to him. The second benefit of following Jesus has to do with belonging. Disciples of Jesus are connected to other disciples. We have our people. Back in John 15 again, Jesus is talking to his disciples. He's talking to them, he's talking to all of them, plural. In verse 12, he talks about loving one another like he loved us. Jesus tells his folks to love each other. We can assume that means acceptance, that we'll be accepted, that we'll be cared for, and that we can hold each other accountable. Followers of Jesus, we're not alone. We have community with other followers of Jesus, and that community centered on the person and work of Jesus. Community laughs together, grieves together, carries each other's burdens, celebrates together. We all need other people, and following Jesus connects us to other people. The third benefit of following Jesus has to do with change. The Bible talks about transformation. As we follow Jesus and live in community, he helps us move toward our best version of ourselves. In John 15, Jesus talks about pruning the branches that don't bear fruit. God cuts out the stuff in our lives that doesn't bear fruit. He wants us to produce and knows that sin and ourselves get in the way of that bearing fruit. So he removes the unfruitful parts, and that pruning transforms us into the better version of ourselves. Or to say it another way, as God works on us, he helps us move back toward the way that he intended for us to be. In addition to connecting with something greater, connecting with others, and an opportunity to grow, the final benefit of following Jesus that we're going to talk about in this series, in this episode, is significance. As followers of Jesus, we're not only connected to something bigger in a personal relationship, but we're given the opportunity to connect others to something bigger. Our lives, regardless of our career or our stage of life, our lives have meaning. And that meaning and significance comes from the responsibility that Jesus gives to us. If you've been tracking with us very long, you know the Great Commission is a big deal. This is what it says. Jesus came and he said to his followers, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. And behold, I'm with you always to the end of the age. Living for Jesus, doing your part to fulfill the Great Commission, will satisfy that sense of purpose that eats away at us. Telling others the good news of Jesus and helping others follow him will guarantee that your life matters. Now let's look at some of the struggles and obstacles that we will face when we follow Jesus. The first obstacle and struggle of following Jesus centers around what we have made Christianity. We have definitely drifted away from being part of a movement to maintaining the status quo and building the institution. We've reduced being a Christian to coming to a building for an hour or two each week to sing and hear a feel-good message. Give a little money. If you really love Jesus, you'll go on a mission trip. That's what we've made Christianity. It's a shallow veneer of the deep, abundant life that Jesus offers us. The second obstacle and struggle of following Jesus goes along with the first. We have not truly seen what following Jesus modeled for us very well. We have examples of what it means to be a Christian and what it means to be a good church member and how to be a good person, but there are very few examples of someone sold out to being a disciple of Jesus. Following Jesus is harder than being a church member. The third obstacle to following Jesus is that it takes time. We are so used to instant and on demand that we forget that good things take time. So commit to the long haul to experience the abundant life that Jesus talks about. The final obstacle is that following Jesus is going to cost you. Following anything means saying no to other things. When we commit to be a disciple of Jesus, we will say no to the ways of the world and our own self. We will have to sacrifice our wants and our desires. Following Jesus will cost you and me. But from what I've experienced, from what I've learned over the past couple of years, following Jesus is so worth it. So to wrap up this episode, I want to challenge you to count the cost of following Jesus. I want to remind you of the benefits of following him. You connect to someone bigger. You connect to others. You will move toward the person that God intended you to be, and your life will matter if you commit to following Jesus. But there are also some obstacles, just to here they are. We don't have a ton of examples of what truly following Jesus looks like. Following Jesus is a process that takes time. Being a disciple of Jesus will cost you. So just want to ask you, do you think following Jesus is worth it? Why or why not? And are you willing to pay the price to follow him? Thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode of Pull Up a Seat. If you've not yet subscribed, do that now so you can get content as soon as it comes out. Also, please help us get the word out by sharing on social media and inviting others to pull up a seat. Until next time, grow in your relationship with Jesus and find one way to live intentionally for him. See you next time when we pull up a seat.